Squad underestimated taking on the Baby Gas team. You know what? It was a disappointer for Squad. This was supposed to be their year when you really look at it. Saquon Barkley coming in with the number one pick, Christian McCaffrey coming back as a strong keeper, picking Kirk Cousins who looked pretty good last week, and then Adam Thielen along the way was a good pickup as well as Jordan Reed, who was able to get in the house and actually stay healthy for the game. But there were a couple of disappointments. Chris Hogan, I believe, only ended up with 1 point. That was one of the squad's higher draft picks. So it was very disappointing to see Chris Hogan not be able to, elevate the squad and get some big points for them. They're going to have to bounce back this week. Looking at the lineups, though, it's going to be a tough order. I think that Kirk Cousins going to Green Bay. He's going to finally get a taste of the NFC North. Although he looked good against San Francisco, he didn't light the world on fire. So it's not like you can expect him to go to Green Bay and be super efficient. I thought their defense, although they were in a big hole last week, I thought their defense clamped down on the Chicago passing game pretty well in the second half, and I feel like they have the potential to do so against a familiar opponent in Minnesota. Josh Gordon is a guy he's going to continue to roll with. I don't know how smart that is, but that's something that he wants to do. Gordon did have that touchdown catch, but that was the only catch he made all game. So he may be chasing points there, but then again, he's waited on Gordon for so long. He's kind of got to give him an opportunity to play. On the Baby Gas team side, Cam Newton and Dalvin Cook both opened the season with strong rushing performances. But Cook was expected to be more of a receiver than he was in that game, I thought. And Newton was expected to be a better passer than he's been so far. So both of those guys, although they've got one part of their game down, I think they both need to work on the finer points and refining their skills so that they can, be top potential players for the Baby Gas team. Melvin Gordon was awesome last week. He was a big part of why the Gas team was able to, keep it somewhat competitive with the machine, although the machine was able to kind of run away with that one. Larry Fitzgerald against the Rams defense, he's going to have to see a Marcus Peters or a Keith Talib out there play in and play out, so that's going to be a tough outing for him. T.Y. Hilton, I love T.Y. Hilton this week against the Washington Redskins, just like I like Andrew Luck a lot. I think that they are getting back on track, and they're going to provide some fireworks against the Redskins. I think that's going to be a higher scoring game than people think. And then the Demaryius Thomas pickup, obviously he scored a late touchdown there, and he is Denver's number one until further notice. So the Baby Gas team, has a very good, core. The New England Patriot coach is a great coach, although they are at Jacksonville, and I'm sure Squad is not going to go with the Detroit Lions against his loved San Francisco 49ers. So I think that there will be a change there. That being said, the Baby Gas team looks a little bit stronger here to me. I like the play of the running backs. Even though Saquon Barkley has a big-time matchup against the Dallas Cowboys, I wasn't overly impressed with Saquon. I know he had the huge run, but if you take away that run, he really wasn't all that impressive. So that's another reason why I think the Baby Gas team has the advantage here. I'm going to go Baby Gas team winning this one, 121 to 110. Squad underestimated. Unfortunately, drops to 0-2. But who knows? If we can get a big one from McCaffrey and Barkley, he may be able to switch that around. Moving on to our next matchup, the lock of the week. We're going there again. Sorry, United players, but we got to go there again. In this matchup, appease the gods of the Omega Conference, taking on the United players, the destroyers of the Omega Conference. So this Omega matchup is my lock of the week. Looking around, ATG really flexed muscle last week. The two picks that he traded with Patty's twins ended up being Joe Mixon and Drew Brees, and those two players combined for, I believe, 60 points last week in that big win. So ATG used the draft capital that he received to upgrade the team's roster. And they didn't seem to miss Keenan Allen thanks to Mike Evans' big outburst against New Orleans. So appease the gods. They look very strong. Lamar Miller is going to do well just because he has the presence of a guy like Deshaun Watson. And Rob Gronkowski's Rob Gronkowski. So this team is I would say in the pole position right now in the Omega Conference. Of course, until further notice, because the Omega Conference, I think, is probably a little tougher than Alpha. So we'll see how it all turns out. The ATG's roster looks pretty imposing. They look very strong, and they have the kind of lineup that will be able to sustain them through a long season run. On the UP side, Tom Brady showed up, Emmanuel Sanders showed up. The guys that we expected to show up really did show up for the United players. So that's a great sign. However, other guys did not. I'm looking at Jimmy Graham. I'm looking at Ty Montgomery, two guys that the United players needed in that matchup against Aaron Rodgers. And they combined for, I believe, like 4 or 5 points. While Aaron Rodgers was putting up, almost 30 to bring the Packers back, those guys were not involved. And that killed the UP, because if they just got an extra catch or two, maybe a first down, a couple of, first downs, they win that matchup. They only lost by 2 points. So it was a stunning defeat for the UP. I don't know if they had any business being in that matchup anyway, but they were. But in this one, like I said, this is the lock of the week. I love Cooper Kupp and Emmanuel Sanders, so the receivers are pretty good. But I don't understand going double tight end with Jimmy Graham and Tyler Eifert. I think you're chasing points there. I got the Appease the Gods as my lock of the week. ATG wins 128 to 104. And congratulations to our Leave No Doubt Player of the Week, Alvin Kamara, who came up huge for the Mean Machine. 8 carries for 29 yards, 9 catches, 112 yards, and 3 total touchdowns to lead the Machine in an impressive opening day against the Baby Gas team. Segueing that, the Argonauts were the team that left No Doubt, however, and these two teams are going to clash in our prestige matchup of the week. We have the Mean Machine taking on the Argonauts. This is a matchup of Alpha Conference lore. These are the two winningest teams in Alpha Conference history. And it's going to take a mighty team to release the stranglehold the Argonauts have over the Alpha Conference. The Argonauts have not lost an Alpha Conference game since the 2015 season. Yes, the 2015 season. We're in 2018. And the Mean Machine has been a victim numerous times during that run, despite them probably being the strongest team to stand against the Argonauts. Alvin Kamara, as mentioned as the Leave No Doubt Player of the Week, is expected to do big things, and I agree. Cleveland is not going to offer any resistance to Alvin Kamara. They couldn't stop James Conner, a guy, in his first career start. So Alvin Kamara rocking in the Superdome, I don't think they're going to be able to handle him. Michael Thomas has 16 catches, people. 16 catches for 180 yards. I mean, that kind of production is ridiculous. You would almost say that, hey, you can't expect him to replicate that. But when you got Drew Brees throwing the football, all things are possible. Looking at the matchup, though, I think Odell Beckham Jr. is going to be big here. He likes to show out against Dallas, especially in a Sunday night. So I think the Mean Machine has a very good chance of pulling this matchup off. We talked about T.Y. Hilton having a big impact against the Redskins, and I believe Andrew Luck is obviously going to be the real reason why that happens. So it's going to be interesting to see how Luck does. Kareem Hunt's going to have to bounce back, though. He got shut down against the Chargers. I only think he got about 5 points. They're going to need more than that from Kareem, the Machine is, and the Kansas City Chiefs will. And I think they're going to get it this week. I think that they're going to commit to the run a little bit more. And I think that the Steelers are going to try to give a little bit more respect to that passing game, as we saw what Patrick Mahomes was capable of. So I'm loving Kareem Hunt in the matchup, and I think that he's going to get a lot of opportunities to make big plays. It does seem like the Machine is saving some ammunition for Monday night. I don't know how sound a strategy it is. I don't know how good that matchup is, but it is a tactic that the Machine has employed throughout the years, kind of hoping that the matchup can be saved on Monday night in case they're behind. And they just might be, because the Argonauts sitting on the other side did leave No Doubt with 167 points. Phillip Rivers was the big part of that, as he threw for 400 yards, which ended up being 34 for the Argo. And then you had guys step up huge, like George Kittle, who came out of nowhere to have a big-time game. And then the usual suspects came through. I mean, Julio Jones with the 24 on Thursday night. A.J. Green had a nice touchdown catch. And Devontae Adams was a part of that Aaron Rodgers comeback. So the Argonauts looked like they were firing pretty well. Alex Collins was a guy who was a big disappointment. And Le'Veon Bell obviously still has not reported to camp. But not all's lost in that department, because the Argonauts may have discovered the next Le'Veon Bell and James Conner. It's a little early to say something so blasphemous. But Conner definitely showed Le'Veon Bell-esque production last week. So if he's able to do that, I like the Argonauts to do some big things. That being said, this matchup I believe actually sets up well for the Mean Machine. With Kamara and Thomas going against that Cleveland front, that presents a huge opportunity for them to get big points in one matchup. Something that I believe they could take advantage of. And then I think David Njoku, the Cleveland tight end, will actually benefit from that as well, because I think that the Browns will be behind. They will be throwing the football a lot, and that's going to benefit the Mean Machine. On the Argonaut side, I like George Kittle against the Detroit Lions. A.J. Green, though, has a tough matchup against the Baltimore defense, which the Argo will be playing. Ezekiel Elliott against the New York Giants. They didn't seem to have too much problems with the running game for the Jags, but Ezekiel Elliott is a different monster. But this matchup, it seems like the machine's ripe for the upset. Maybe the Argo are due for an Alpha Conference loss. It's been a few years, so we're gonna pick the upset in each matchup of the week. I have the Mean Machine winning this matchup, 131 to 120. Okay. So we have this week's matchups all set for week 2. The Leave No Doubt players of the week, once again, was Alvin Kamara. Congratulations. Good luck to everyone, and may the odds be ever in your favor.